Hello, hello, and I hope everyone who watches this eventually has a happy day to the best of their abilities. I have realized as of last time that I'm going to drift off from the older one quite a bit in the following scenarios because I don't intend to do quite the same thing and instead just work a bit more with storytelling so that it works. Hmm. Seems like it's kind of a bad. Uh, yeah, maybe today is a bad day. I'll try anyway. Last time I decided to do a lot of characters just actually moving about in their little confined spaces. So that's where we are now. Yes. And yes, I know this looks kind of bad. I wonder if maybe you guys can even see anything. Maybe it's a bad time to do this. There we go. Some footsies. And a face. And some fixing of his hair. And some more fixing of his hair because I'm realizing that I'm doing it a bit badly. But whatever. It's not finished until it's finished. You can always edit before it's finished. And when it's finished, you can still go back and edit if you're that type of person. And that type of person is not meant to be a mean-spirited thing. It's actually a good thing to be able to go back and correct things, if possible. Oh, hello, Kotagi. It's okay. It took some time for me to set up in the first place. Things were very slow. And you're more than welcome, no matter what time you arrive, so to speak. Mm. Still not entirely happy with that arm. How are you today, Kotagi? Good grief, this does not look good. Oh, you have you? That's cool. What sort of videos have you been working on? And projects, art projects? Yeah. You're trying to work more in music and just a few happenings that I want to document that you want to document. You reached about a bit of an upper limits, uh, and you want to try different things. Okay, that's cool. Trying new things because you don't want to stagnate, feel like you stagnate. This looks awful. Uh, so, what type of music are you aiming at? Play bass guitar in real life, and that's probably going to influence your choices a lot. Yeah, that makes sense. I've played trombone growing up, so I can understand if I would try to make sense of that if I were to try and actually make music, beginning in with that at least. But I suppose genre could also be cool to know. Is it gonna be like video game music or normal music? Nah, that's good enough. Yeah, this is a mess. But it's a fun mess to make. You're working on a sort of a video game, so it will probably fit to that in any practical case. I have no idea who SYRSA is, but in Swedish that is a animal. I think it's like a grasshopper or something. Sysha. So you're working on a full video game or only specifically on a track that could fit in a video game? Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know too much about magic. I'm not showing what I'm drawing. I don't know too much about music just in general, so I am culturally dead in a lot of spaces. But also, it's impossible to know everything. Yeah, but in order to learn, you have to not have the knowledge required to not already know what you're learning. So you'll figure it out eventually. I believe in you. Yeah, that's a very relatable thing to do. And that's usually how YouTubers start. They just throw things at the wall until something sticks, and then they become focused on that thing because that's what generates audience interests. I'm not very good at just doing random doodles. Feel like I need to have a pre-planned purpose in order for me to actually understand what I'm doing. So while others can just start doodling immediately when given the tools, I will just sit there and feel stupid for a while because I don't know what I'm going to focus on. But really, if you knew exactly what to do and always were perfect at it, then what would be the point, really? That's why AI art really isn't all that giving, you know? Like, it's cool to see what a computer can do, but at the end of the day, it's soulless. Cool, but soulless. Probably won't quite feel right for too long, you know? How do you figure that? That you don't have any soul at all? Are you saying that you're less interesting than a computer? Or did you mean something else? Because I'm pretty sure your things have soul, and not in the religious sense necessarily. More so just the good feel kind of way. I wouldn't necessarily say that my things are filled with soul, but at least I try making something that feels right when I'm done with it. Beyond things. Is it kind of like how someone on the interwebs realized while drunk or whatever that in this Nickelodeon show SpongeBob, the character of uh, Squidward keeps just drawing self portraits, and the reason why people just don't like his art is because it's so shallow. And he is clearly a character who could do perfect art if he just focused on what he's feeling rather than what he looks like. You don't have a personality. Ooh, that's no, you're just being harsh on yourself. You definitely have personality. You're not a Netflix character. You just have to figure out what your personality is. We already know that you like cats, perhaps. That's a personality trait. So You do have something. We know that you are quite artist. You draw, you make music. You apparently are thinking of making a video game if you're not already making one. Uh, you are a programmer on your free time. So I would definitely argue that you have personality. You just need to figure out how to apply it, I guess. But I get what you're coming from. I keep acting like I'm such a boring person myself, even though I know that I could probably be interesting if I just tried. And here I am trying to be interesting. uh, Something like that. Oh, okay. Yeah, you might have like uh, a form of a blank face or something like you don't you're not an open book, and thus you have difficulty feeling like you know what you want to show of yourself, which is what a lot of people complain about the, during the early meme stages of disliking the Twilight movies because they felt that the main actress had blank face too much and didn't have much of an acting range. Who knows, maybe she does have acting range, but that movie didn't have too good of a director, perhaps. We apparently know that Pattinson has range. He played Batman really well, since everyone seems to like the Batman movie. I haven't watched it myself, so I can't say for sure. And if you think that you are too bland for your art to feel worth it, I don't know, maybe you should seek out a therapist or something so you can start learning about yourself, or perhaps just, yeah, as you said, try different things until something sticks. Mm, yeah, there are definitely, that's definitely a thing. Okay. Yeah, that's not very fun when the options aren't good. Oh, right. That's what the problem is. I accidentally moved things and didn't check if I did something stupid. Yeah, also I'm not a therapist myself, so I can't really help you there. I just realized I should probably not act like I am one. Yes. What do you mean? Lived. Thanks. That's very nice of you. Uh, I wouldn't fully agree myself, but I mean, looking back, I would agree that done, I would argue that I have done progress in my skills. But now I haven't drawn all that often in a year, so now that I'm streaming, I'm behind on my skills again. Uh, Jones. So thank you for your kind comments. Why doesn't it show that you are here? Weird. Yeah. And now I am at the place that I said before you arrived, Kotagi. Because uh, in the original comic, this is the original comic. Very simple kind of blend. At this point in the comic, they start talking about how the others are just speaking Swedish, but here they aren't speaking Swedish, so it makes sense that they wouldn't talk about that then. Thanks, I like that. I agree. I don't necessarily think everything has to be super realistic at all times. Uh, I kind of like it when things are a bit more cartoony, but not necessarily all cartoony stuff are good. And being able to express is important. And I think I've jumped a bit too far ahead of me. I don't think this is just yet. Um, but as I was saying, uh, I have one more panel thing before I diverge from the original comic. Uh, in the original, they go on a thing about how they are speaking Swedish at the moment. But since is for the internet and thus they aren't speaking Swedish, I will instead have to just go on about other things until I reach a stage where plot development can happen again. Because I realized that I need to put in better storytelling tactics now that I actually know how to make storytelling properly. And I think I should probably stop here and go with lunch, but it's it's nice to talk with you, so I think I can stay a bit longer. Yes, because super realistic things like Archer, the Adult Swim animation, it is a good and fun show, but the art style that they've chosen is very stiff, and like it works, but I wouldn't do that myself. So this is not Erik. This is Giroff. And the easiest way to see that is when I actually add color to this thing. I think the mouth isn't open enough for him to have teeth and tooth, tongue. I think this needs to be a bit more thick. A couple of weeks. Uh, I spent more time on it during the day than I expected to because I got so into it. I liked it, and I do have an idea for another shorter animation I could do, but I feel like I want actual voice actors for that, so I'm not entirely sure how to go about it. And I mean, it's 13 seconds, and yet it took weeks to make. I am definitely impressed by actual animators and artists who can just pull something genuinely good looking out in less than a less than an hour. There are definitely those type of people, and that's impressive. Yeah, it's short enough that it should be able to. It's supposed to be a fun little shit post, so it would probably hold people's attention because there isn't a bunch of unnecessary build up before it. Well, I mean, in professional animation, you are supposed to have 24 frames per second, and Paint 2D, Pencil 2D that I'm animating with uh, defaults to 12 frames per second. And I realized kind of quickly that that wasn't enough for what I wanted to do. So I made it 16 frames per second. And eventually I did realize that I kind of had to copy over and just do small changes instead of redrawing it all the time. But just redrawing Sonic every time was probably the reason why it took so long. Sorry. I seem to be having hiccups. And yes, these aliens are very much Smurfs. They all look the same. It's one of your favorite kinds of art and animation. Uh, oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, I understand what you mean. I can't really put words to it at the moment. But I understand what you mean. Actual effort put into it, but not to make it look stiff and boring and realistic, and instead just to make it fun. I I I assume now that you are aware of uh, Eagle Raptor or Arian Hansen. It's the same guy, but still. He put a lot of work into his cartoons, but they're also extremely Ren and Stimpy-esque. They're just not realistic. They're so rubbery, and it's so nice. I like it so much. That sort of thing is great. Just actually great. Okay. Also, you may know about the Cartoon Network cartoon Teen Titans. Also, just not realistic in the art style, but it's great anyway. And it's because it's not realistically art styled that it is so great. Because Young Justice doesn't hold the same funness to it, it's more dark and edgy and serious, so it's more stiff. It both are still good, but they are definitely different from each other. But unfortunately, that can also ruin it for people. Problem solvers had such a bad art style that people didn't want to watch it, even if the show could potentially have been good. I haven't watched it, and it does. And since nobody watched it, it got canned. And all we know is that it looks awful because nobody wanted to watch it because it looks awful. So it's a difficult thing to do, pull off properly. And got a graph here. This is kind of a who we do in Louis situation, I feel like. Yeah, it is unfortunate though that I'm not being consistent. But still, it's supposed to be fun rather than super great. I am more of a writer than I am an artist. I hope. Um, and finally, I'm here. So yeah, this was definitely my humor as a kid. Grafen Erik, Grafen Erik, Huey, Dewey, and Arnold. Yeah, I mean, you know how in art you're supposed to do this thing and draw based on that so that it stays consistent. I don't want to do that. And thus it doesn't stay consistent, and that's unfortunate. And that's why I eventually started copying the frames in the animation I made, Gravy, because it was difficult to stay consistent when I noticed that I genuinely wasn't, even though I was practically tracing the entire time my own work, so to speak. Yeah. Also, uh, um, there is a, one of those funny comic strips in papers and whatnot. There is one comic that I've seen in such a magazine type newspaper situation where I genuinely felt like the art style was just awful. Like it was intentionally awful. It was supposed to be like monsters and whatnot, and it just looked so too much of it. So I wasn't impressed, even though they did nothing wrong really. And then there's another comic in the same type of situation, but it's about old people just in general, and people who read comics usually can't relate to that. And that art style was also just not impressive in my eye. So I stopped reading it, and now that comic has been replaced with another one, which probably isn't because people didn't read it, because how are they supposed to know that people aren't reading it? It's not like it's a TV show or something where they can read statistics on it. I think it's more so just people can relate to it. And it's a perfectly harmless comic too. It's just old people being pensioners. Nothing harmless about it, but just not very fun either. So art style can definitely do a lot. It's important to be careful with it. I mean, I had trouble with accepting. I'm not sure what I'm doing right now. Accepting Avatar: The Last Airbender and Iron Man Armored Adventures when I first caught it on air because the art style. Avatar seemed like it was going to be like an anime, and for some reason, in that moment when I first caught that on air, I apparently didn't like that it was going to look like an anime. But of course, then I actually watched the show and loved it completely. And uh, Armored Adventures. A lot of people have difficulty with the general concept of him being a teenager, but I mostly just had problem with the art style because I don't like CGI. But then I actually started watching it and I liked it. It's fun. Too bad it got cancelled. Do you have any such stories to tell of something you didn't give a chance at first, but then you realized that you were missing out? Yeah, yeah, that's definitely one of those. Oh, it's gonna be dark and edgy, isn't it? And then you realize, oh wait, this is really fun. Dark Souls 2. I haven't played any Dark Souls games myself, but that's also because I don't play too many games. I play mostly as Mario, Zelda, and Pokemon. Yeah, that too. Uh, People genuinely don't seem to think it's the best, but I'm still sure they would consider it over certain other games. All things considered, you know. And it's definitely good to have your own opinion and not just let the masses decide for you. Because once again, I like Armored Adventures. I have no issues at all with the age down thing. And their argument that a show about the teenage Wolverine wouldn't work. Like, yes, if you just for some reason have Wolverine himself be a teenager while joining the X-Men, then yes, it wouldn't work. Yeah, yeah, good games deserves it even if you aren't much for that sort of thing. But also, I don't play game because I don't have time or space really. Once I move out to my parents' place, I will have more time, I would guess, or place more rather. But anyway, uh, Wolverine was born like over 180 years ago as part of the lore, and costume dramas tend to sell rather well. So I would argue that a show about Wolverine's upbringing, since there already is a comic to take that from, would probably do rather well because it would scratch that itch of a origin story for Wolverine, but also scratch that itch of people liking costume dramas from the 1800s or whatever. So I think a, if done correctly, a Wolverine as a teenager show could be really successful. I haven't played the Dark Souls games myself because buying games costs money, but also because I'm kind of a casual. But I have watched enough Game Grumps and Oni plays to think that it does seem rather interesting and fun. So maybe I'll try it some at some point in the future. Who knows? Yes. And I'm not showing what I'm doing. I fixed this up a bit. Well, thanks for joining me today, Kotagi. It was nice to speak with you again. I think I need to stop here though for today. So thanks for joining me. Feels good to have someone to talk to. Uh, there. So thanks for today. Have a nice day. Thanks, that's nice of you. I shall try to actually speak up more. I realize that I'm doing that not very good. I'm not very good at speaking up. I am mumbling a lot, so it's a surprise that you can hear me at all, but I will try to do better.